That's right. For the second time this week, it's pizza time, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And welcome to our fan commentary. It's better late than never. This thing's been out for about a month, but we're getting to it in kind of an untimely manner. But we're getting to it. It's all good. Here it is. It's Batman versus Ninja Turtles. Yeah. All right, so Dragon, right off the bat, I am totally late to the party on this thing. It's been a busy couple months. May was primarily a lot of Endgame stuff, a lot of let's see what the Disney Channel original movie stuff. We've had a lot of projects with Jess Giglet. Of course, June we've been kind of balancing both doing Spielberg month and doing the Spider-Man movies. So we've been busy, Dragon. This is one that we've been kind of cooking up in the pipeline for a while now. And I got to tell you, Dragon, this is definitely a solid 8 out of 10, with the asterisk that if I would have seen this movie as a little kid, it would have absolutely blown my mind and been the best thing ever. You know what I mean? There's definitely a couple things I could nitpick about this movie. It feels a little episodic in the second act, which we can get into. I wish the character designs were a little bit more stylized and well defined. As of now, it feels like kind of like a hodgepodge of different design choices. And other than that, really, it's pretty much a perfect crossover, Dragon. I wish there was a little bit more to the verses thing, but we'll get into that as we get into the commentary. But I really thought that the two worlds of Batman and Ninja Turtles, two things that I've been fans of as a kid, but I was never like a huge fan of. I like Ninja Turtles. I think I was a bit more into than Batman. Batman was more of a, I don't think I really got fully into Batman until the Nolan movie started coming out. But Ninja Turtles, I definitely have fondness for the original late 80s animated show for sure. I remember renting the VHSs at my local video store. And so this was definitely, I thought that the tones of these two worlds and the logic, the internal logic and everything really flowed together quite well and made a very enjoyable film. Like I said, if I would have seen this as a little kid, I would have gone nuts for it, Dragon. It's like I almost kind of like envy kids who get to grow up with stuff like this.
All right. Keep it simple for me. I mean, I was blown away with how good this turned out, because I mean, when this was, I was aware that they were doing basically the main reason we have this is because they did this crossover in the comics last couple of years. It picked up a lot of traction, and I never really paid much of mind to it until they did like an animated series, a version of Batman, did a crossover there. And I'm not saying that's exactly what got this thing made, but the point being, it was slowly becoming on my radar, and so I just kind of checked this out of curiosity. And the last crossover we had with Batman, Brave and Bold, and Scooby Doo was excellent. So I mean, I really didn't have a hesitation. I liked the style of the whole thing. I checked it out. And it could have been a real cash grab, but it wasn't. I mean, this thing, again, I expected, it was not a cash in. It's, it was like, again, it was just, I'm sorry, I know it sounds so simple, but again, it's like another crossover of a caliber of a Brave and the Bold meets Scooby Doo. It was just, it's an adaptation. It's a celebration of both properties. It's a, for me, I'm a very casual. I'm barely a casual Ninja Turtles guy. Basically, Ninja Turtles is a property that fascinates me, but it's too far gone for me. There's too much of it. I can't get into it. It's not saying it's not good. It's just, I mean, there's so much of it around. There's so many different permutations. Like, all I know is I don't like the current one.
I kind of just do it when it comes to Ninja Turtles. I stick to the late '80s stuff and the original two live action films for the most part. It's kind of like Pokemon, right? Like, I'm attached to a certain era of Pokemon, but beyond that, I'm sort of like, all right, this isn't my Pokemon anymore. Kind of after the Gold and Silver generation.
Exactly, but here's the thing, Tiki. Every time I hear Ninja Turtle fans go on about stuff, or like the Nickelodeon show, that again, this is kind of Nickelodeon reabsorbed the rights, or I guess to Ninja Turtles, and like they had like the CG one on Nickelodeon. I've watched a couple episodes of that. At least I've chimed in on that one on a regular basis, and like that's a good show. But again, I'm not into the mythos at all. But I respect that. Rob Paulson's talked it up on the podcast, so I checked it out. So I mean, it's a good. It's that's the Ninja Turtle seems to be a really genius concept, and again, it's really fun, and I'm sure it's good. I mean, some like the most recent 2D permutation of it does not look that good. What I've seen, what I've checked it out, but again, it's like there's some highs and lows for sure. And what I'm saying is this piece kind of celebrates the highs and lows. It kind of mocks the lows and has fun. This thing's just all fun and it's delightful. And to a guy like a novice like me with Ninja Turtles, I mean, here's the thing. I like this so much. I went back and I read the other stuff. At least some. I read the story this is based on. I just went into this clean, and then I read the story, see how the adaptation went, but the adaptation went. So regardless, I was having a good time with this just as is, and it kind of sold me on the original source material. I think it was that good.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So background, not a lot here. Just pretty much the simple stuff. So. Background goes a little simple. It's only the stuff we need to get into up front of everything. So in 2015, they had the Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover with IDW. DC teaming up with IDW. They do a lot of the name brand stuff, like the Ghostbusters and vice versa. The IDW usually handles that. And it was so popular, and because people got remember Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, while it's famous for being a cartoon, it did start as a comic book. So Ninja Turtles has deep roots in comics, technically. So of course it's got sequels. I mean, right now, like they're doing the third sequel. Basically, there are three. There's three crossovers and a fourth unofficial one, which is the other one that I read. It's basically Batman the Animated Series meets the Nickelodeon, the CG one I was talking about. So that's kind of cool. So again, the one I was familiar with just by happenstance. So basically, there's four so far. It was written by a writer I really do like, James Tynion the Fourth. He's Scott Snyder's protege. He worked on a lot of the Scott Snyder stories, so he wrote this one. He's he loves the animated series as well. He's kind of a deep cuts guy. So four total so far, and of course I think the big thing got this thing made not only just the Ninja Turtles kind of traction is also the fact that, the '60s stuff. Return of the Caped Crusaders, Batman versus Two-Face, and there's an unrelated note. Batman Brave and the Bold, Scooby-Doo. That's I think they've all performed so well, and everyone's been having such a great time with them. It's been getting a lot of traction, kind of like gave it the push it needed. So again, like this thing comes out 2015, the following year, there's talk of this thing becoming an animated movie, and there's even talk about Wonder Woman now, Wonder Woman 77. Now the question is if it's going to be just Wonder Woman 77, or what my hope, Tiki, my hope of all hopes, is that they'll get Ralph Garman and they'll do because they recently did Batman 66 meets Wonder Woman 77. I'd love it if they did that story. It's really good. Anyway, point being, like we're doing like a lot of these outside of the original continuity driven movies, which can really not be good a lot of the time. They've been lucky in the last couple, but so far there's a long ill-fated history. Point being,
Dragon. It's like for me, my biggest issue with it wasn't necessarily the continuity. It was more kind of like there wasn't really a defined style. But in terms of continuity, I was fine with that side of it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying these are outside of those movies. Like remember, like we did Death of Superman Lives.
Sure. Yeah, I know.
Superman. Exactly. Like this is like this Batman. Like they're all kind of like outside of the ether of all those things. So that's I think all these have been protected because of that. Batman, Caped Crusaders onward. Everything's been really great on to that point because they don't have to worry about continuity at all. So, this was a big thing. This was a collaboration between Warner Bros. And Nickelodeon, which for me personally, I can't really think of an example of it. For me, last time I saw a crossover of that caliber, again, I thought it was genius. Not counting that animated series crossover in the comic. And this is also, I believe, Nickelodeon's first PG-13 film, period, possibly. It might, at the very least, animated. I think it's period. Speaking of Brave and the Bold and Scooby-Doo, the same director did this. I think that's one of the key reasons why it was so good. Jake Castorina. Jake Castorina. He directed this as well as that. It was written by Marley Halpern Grazier. Weird name, sorry. Marley wrote some of the Batman Unlimited stuff, which is kind of like akin to kind of the style of kind of the way Batman looks and everything. So the writer of Batman, the Batman Unlimited stuff, which isn't bad, it's fine. It's kind of, they're marketing Batman a little bit more towards kids, and that's kind of what Batman Unlimited is, and it's fine. Batman Unlimited, and these really ingenious shorts I keep recommending. I can't recommend to you anymore, Tiki. It's there's like 3 shorts called Tales of Metropolis. You can find them on DC Universe, and you can find them on YouTube very easily. Tales of Metropolis.
Mm-hmm.
Ingenious. Okay, so basically, this book, this movie, they adapt the first book pretty much. They made a few really smart changes, but it's a very faithful adaptation of the first book, and they were inspired by a moment in the book when they were kind of approaching the story for this one, where basically did a Venn diagram of the Ninja Turtles and Batman, kind of saw what kind of like what was different and what kind of laid in the middle, like okay, what do these two guys have in common that we can really kind of make a movie out of? That's kind of the main.
The middle of that Venn diagram, I would argue, is Shredder.
Yeah, I mean, you have the Shredder, you have the whole family aspect, like the Bat family, the Turtle family, the vehicles, like stuff like that.
Art in itself, of course.
Certainly, villain, rogues, I'm sure. Anyway, so a lot of, and of course you'll notice now the last big noteworthy thing, and we'll just jump right into it, is that there's a lot of familiar, there's somewhat, I say a lot of familiar talent, but they didn't go for the big names. They didn't go for your Kevin Conroys, your Mark Hamills, because it's not the animated series per se, but they did go for Batman talent, and a lot of people have kind of noticed, like the main criticism I've heard lobbed against movies, there's not a lot of Ninja Turtles talent. And like you don't have any named turtles. Like Rob Paulson's not in this.
Right.
They don't that sort of thing. And that's the thing, because remember the first book as.
Oh boy. Hello? Dragon? Huh. Well, that's weird, folks. I'm not sure if it was him or if it was me that cut out. Dragon? Hello? Hello? Okay, it was definitely him.
Hello?
Yeah, hey.
Right, basically, okay, so walking through the commentaries, basically we try to go in a linear fashion, just in case we're going to try to go through in a linear fashion. Hopefully, you don't have to watch the movie to follow along with us, but just in case, you might as well line up your copy wherever the Blu-ray, the DVD, the rent.
I am watching it on Amazon.
There you go. Get it at the 000 mark, and
remember when I used to try and watch these on like illegal streaming sites and do the commentaries and try and sync it up. Weren't those the days?
Well, I can't confirm nor deny those allegations, Tiki. I can't. Point being, we're gonna line up at 000. We're gonna do this Lethal Weapon style, folks. So when we say when Tiki says go, it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, go. When he says go, hit play. All right.
All right. Okay, folks. Let's do it. Cowabunga! Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in 1, 2, 3, go!
All right.
All right, so right off the bat, I think everyone can agree that seeing the Warner Brothers logo and the Nickelodeon logo, pretty surreal.
Very trippy. I love this nod here when we see, like, after this, DC's been doing this new. It's kind of a boss opening they have with all these, with all the characters up front here. It's kind of cool looking. Anyway, I love when we go from like
big opening.
I'm sorry.
It's silly. A Boss Biggs opening.
No, but this little nod to the animated series here. We go from the DC logo to the moon and all the Zeppelins around there, like the animated series going from the WB to the Zeppelin.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Here's a Batman Beyond reference right out the gate here. It just shows you they're in good hands with Powers Industrial. Of course, it's a reference to Derek Powers' Blight from Batman Beyond, the arch enemy of Terry McGinnis. So that's kind of cool.
So what do you think about Batgirl's role in the movie? Because from what I hear in the original comic, this is basically her only moment was just kind of like she's the one who sees the turtles for the first time. But they really expand on it.
Well, first off, I mean, you're absolutely right. One, I love all these saves, by the way, how she's saving these guys, like really, in her civilian guys. I just love that, by the way. But basically, we use Batgirl. April O'Neil did enter the story, and they made very few changes, but significant changes. The main thing they're going after.
Kind of just like he's got a thing for the redheads, man.
That he does. I do like the basically we're using her. I like that we see her as like as Barbara Gordon in a sense of like she's kind of our April O'Neil foray into the story. Like we're using again we're kind of paying tribute to April O'Neil through Barbara Gordon, and we gave her basically she's not really in the book almost at all. Really, that's the thing. She's barely in the comic, the first story. So I think we made good use of her here. So I was a fan of that choice. So I gotta tell you, in terms of the art direction, the style, I really liked it. I really liked it because it's kind of a great pastiche of something original. There's the Ninja Turtle story in the comics was New 52 / a little bit of Rebirth in there. It has a lot of animated series touches. Again, like these two animated titans. Like everyone has nostalgia for the animated series or the Ninja Turtles. So again, I think it's paying tribute to both sides of there. But again, it's kind of an original look as well. So it's kind of neat.
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry, I was going to mention this is the first time in any media. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
Hello? Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm trying to mention this is the first time in any media that we get Batman and the Joker voiced by the same person, so that's pretty neat.
That it is. Troy Baker does the voice of both of them, and Troy Baker, I've always wanted this to. I've always wanted to have him voice both roles because Troy Baker, he's an amazing Joker in the some of the early Arkham games and like Assault on Arkham, and Troy Baker, I love his take on Batman the Telltale games. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also plays like one of the Lego Batmans. The point is he's played like a lighter version of Batman. I like him kind of like in the middle between both roles here. So I've always wanted to see him do more of the serious Batman. We got my wish here. So him playing both roles, I love it. It's gonna sound like I'm zeroing a really small detail here, but I like the mug. So he has the Superman mug, and basically what this to me says, like a little nod saying, of course, Batman is one of the most famous crossover characters at DC. He's crossed over with plumb near everybody. It's like a whole show dedicated to him crossing over with people. And I think World's Finest, like one of the most famous early crossovers in the history of comics, Batman meeting Superman. And I think that's kind of like a little, kind of prepares you for Batman meeting the Ninja Turtles in like a subtle way.
Okay, so one of the big major differences between the comics is that in the comics, the Ninja Turtles somehow, like it's like an interdimensional thing, right?
Yes, basically, instead of going after the Cloud Seeder, they're trying to build a portal so they can return home because, again, they're from another dimension. They can't. It's basically a Spider-Verse thing before Spider-Verse was a thing. Like they can't stay outside of their own dimension. They have to go.
Oh, okay.
But that's the thing.
Yeah, I think it was a smart move to kind of like not only barely address why the Turtles are in Gotham, but to kind of poke fun of it. Because I feel like it kind of saves us a lot of plot headache. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, all right, yeah. It's like the Turtles are here, and assumingly New York is like kind of like a sewer crawl away, whatever. We're kind of just going with it. It's cartoon logic.
Okay, a few things. One, of course, paying great reverence to the animated series with the reveal of an animated series-styled Batmobile. My favorite version of it too. Also, I love just the suit-up montage. It just kind of that went by. So I love, of course, like from all the Batman movies, just him suiting up. I always love Batman putting the stuff on the belt and everything. It's just, it's a lot of fun. Just seeing it parallel with the Ninja Turtles, like pizza in a holster is just great. But also, I mean, we had like an opening credit sequence earlier on that too was just kind of like.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was kind of talking over your point there, but the opening credit sequence is great. It, of course, emulates the original comics art style, and I wish more of the art style was like that, honestly.
But I mean, we do the noir thing though, where we have like and they have. I love the silhouette thing they do all throughout this movie, where you just see like the mask, or you see like the linings of. I'm saying they did a lot of that though. Of course, Tom Kenny playing the Penguin, and I love. I gotta tell you, Tom Kenny kind of infamously played the Penguin in the Batman, the cartoon, the Batman, where it's not everyone likes that version of Penguin. I think he hit it. I think they hit it just right with a Tom Kenny Penguin.
Tom Kenny feels like an obvious person to play the Penguin. Like, I'm surprised he's not like a standard.
I'm saying he's played him a couple.
One time he did play it, it was kind of a not beloved role because I feel like he fits like a glove.
I mean, I think they got it just right here with him. This is what you want to do with him playing the Penguin, because it's a very, again, it's like, this to me is I wish this was a part of me wishes this would be like greenlit as a show, because I love this so much. But of course, you can't do it like crossover every episode. It's gonna get tired, you know. Of course, I love look at all the great detail on his henchmen. I love how we've kind of taken the Ninja Turtle kind of youthful approach to Batman here, where we have his henchmen kind of in a modernized sense, where like they're wearing t-shirt tuxedos.
Right.
But of course, we're paying tribute like kind of a 60s angle with, you know, like the colorful umbrellas with the multitude of weapons. I mean, it's great. You know, it looks great. And this is a great foray. In the comics, he went across Killer Croc as like their first kind of like, you know, Gotham bad guy, and they got rid of our our more monstery Batman villains. I think that was a smart call, so we can kind of build up to when we do mutate them later on.
Sure.
You know, it gives credence to that idea. But this is all great too. And of course, we're kind of throwing some shade at the 2014 live action, you know, the Michael Bay producer.
That was always the time for accuracy, Leo.
So I mean, right now we're getting a great baseline for the personalities and the characterizations of our four turtles here. I mean, it's a great foray, especially if you're like I knew the personalities were on these characters, but if you're even more in the dark than I am on these guys, like, this is a perfect introduction to them. I think you have a sense of who each of these guys is.
Again, who is your favorite?
I mean, look. I mean, here's the thing. Like in the Nickelodeon animated show, I'm probably Donatello because he's the gadget guy. But I mean, Leonardo is cool too. I mean, I honestly like them all. I mean, they're all cool.
I was a Donatello guy as a kid, but not for any reason you might think. You know, why I was a Donatello guy.
Why? Because he liked April.
No, because I own basically a Street Fighter 2 clone on the Super Nintendo that was themed around the Ninja Turtles. It was the Ninja Turtle Tournament Fighters or something to that extent. And I freaking loved using Donatello's bow staff. And I was just, I don't know, man, I'm really into that bow staff. Like, I'm very partial to Donatello's choice of weapon. So my like of Donatello has never had anything to do with the fact that like he's the brains of the operation or the gadget guy or anything like that. It's very superficially just I think he has the most badass of all the weapons.
Okay, so real quick, I love Michelangelo's reaction again. Him being, and this gives credence to your point earlier too. Like I do love that change that we just simplified everything. Because as a kid, that's how I always thought of, and I still kind of in my own head I like to think of it this day. That basically these characters, like like we never really addressed New York in the DC universe. In New York, like in my heart of hearts, like Spider-Man's in New York. Maybe they can meet each other at some point. As a kid, it's like that sort of thing where New York's like pretty much all the Marvel heroes in New York, so like they cross it. Sure, but you take my right. You take my point, though, right?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm being silly. Of
course, this is
Matthew Broderick character from Godzilla is just wandering around New York, Dragon. I know he's out there somewhere.
Anyway, so this is a great tone-setting moment that really caught me by surprise. I think it plays a lot better here than it does the book here. But of course, seeing an animation too. I'm not saying it's like the most, it's most like out of left field thing, but I'm like, it's like not the first time you've ever seen like blood in animation. But still, I mean, again, PG-13 for science, also a bit of Nickelodeon in there too. But still, just the fact that it's like we're not going like just surface level cash and like, hey, it's fun, good times with Batman meeting the Ninja Turtles. Like, no, there's stakes here, man. They're being so authentic and honest. To like, we're paying tribute to like the comics were a lot more violent and gritty for the Ninja Turtles, and we're paying tribute to that. And of course, it fits like a glove for Batman. So of course, we have like a guy gets a shuriken to the head. So the director,
I mean, this movie is definitely one of the more violent things that Batman has been involved with in a while. But unlike BVS, it doesn't feel completely superficial.
Okay, so we have Batman versus the Shredder here. So this sequence was boarded by the director. We boarded this sequence, and it's a really great sequence. And you can notice what's really cool here is that the Shredder fighting Batman, the fight, these guys like the master martial artists, and the idea is they keep thinking like this is going to take the guy out, and then it doesn't. So then they have to keep exerting themselves throughout the fight, and they get really again, it's the fact that they keep trying to.
You've seen that on TV before in shows like Daredevil and Ronnie versus Lily, or not versus Lily, but you get my point. Yeah.
And again, this is great. Again, it feels like, and again in the comic too, when he sometimes basically in the climax when he fought the Shredder, they gave him like a mech suit, which I always thought was a mistake. Because I mean, again, it's a hand-to-hand bag. I don't give him a mech suit. It's like an unfair advantage.
Right.
But again, this is all. I mean, there are also some really great.
I love the idea of Shredder and Batman going up against it with each other, because I feel like it's a really cool, kind of juxtaposition. It's kind of like two paths kind of diverging, because Shredder is a character. I don't know much about the ideology of Shredder, but I do know that he's basically kind of like lost in his ways. Like he's sort of like, he's kind of taken a code and he's twisted it essentially.
All I really know about the Shredder, based on the Nickelodeon, the new, the good Nickelodeon version from the,
I have not
CG.
watched a single episode of that version.
Yeah, I've just seen the CG Nickelodeon, not the new one they're doing, the CG one.
Yeah. I don't think many people care for the new one.
What
I hear is like the Teen Titans Go of Ninja Turtles.
Which I've seen a little bit of that, which is why I've been really put off by it. But point being, in that one, like Shredder's deal is, from what I can tell, is that he knows Splinter from way back in the day, and they have issues, and I believe that he's kind of Splinter's daughter works for the Shredder. Anyways, of course, a lot of really great stuff is kind of unfolding before us here. So with the action, of course, he did this very lethal move to Batman, and what's really cool is that they say in dialogue later on, but just so you know, when he did that move, when Batman was kind of leaping down towards him, that move, if he did that move wrong, it would have killed him. He was that desperate in the fight. That's pretty cool.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying like Shredder is a character where it's like he's kind of like, again, I don't know that much about him, but he's sort of a character that's fueled by his own twisted sense of honor. And go ahead.
Yeah, he respects Batman enough to let him live when he kind of
exactly
down for the count. Of course, with Michelangelo here again, we kind of talked over a lot of these bits as they're playing, but just to address it here. So Michelangelo, I love that he's addressing kind of the how fun Gotham is. For this is something the Turtles have never come up against, like just kind of your average Joe criminal.
We get the blimp thing?
Yeah, he just did the blimp thing a little while ago.
I love the blimp thing.
So that's the thing. I love Michelangelo as like the ultimate tourist in Gotham.
Michelangelo, I think, does steal the show in this movie, I think.
He does. He's basically kind of the fans just kind of looking in on this and just having a great time in Gotham. Here we're kind of making fun of Daredevil a little bit, which is kind of funny here. We're just the old logic of like, did you know that dumpster was there? This is a great debate between Raphael and Leonardo and Donatello's interjecting that logic there of like, well, I mean, the canopy wouldn't have helped either.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of funny, but yeah, I mean, Michelangelo again is just calling out the things that we've always celebrated with the Bat brand. Just like he's reveling. He has a gunbrella. That's awesome. I love this little penguin guy. Just he's having a great time with like these rogues that are thinking outside the box. Versus like again, look, nothing against the Ninja Turtles, but you can say this about any franchise within itself is that there's a formulaic element to it. Like okay, it's always a mutated henchman of the Shredder. It's always Shredder, ninjas, and mutated guys who inevitably work for Shredder. That's the way Ninja Turtles work. And Batman, of course, it's Rogues Gallery that reflects.
I feel like Krang is ultimately the mastermind of the Ninja Turtles universe, and not Shredder. But that's a different conversation.
I mean, you might be right. Again, I'm just coming but you're right. The Krang's also another big one. But,
yeah,
it's either mutants or aliens.
Sure. Sometimes both.
Sometimes, yes. So this is, I called that earlier on. I like that they've kind of taken some pot shots of the Michael Bay version too, the whole alien, the alien gay. What are you, aliens? So this is really a great introduction. Here we basically have two scenes that are kind of verses here, and there's a subtle verses later on. Basically, it's like a verses of ideology, but there's like two physical fights between Batman and Ninja Turtles.
The ideology thing, I feel like, is a little like it's there, but they don't really do much with it.
I mean, you're right. Again, I make no illusions. They're calling it verses because it sells. All right, I'm not. The point being, though, what's really cool about this fight, though, and Tiki, they thought
I wish we would have gone back to the like the old Cartoon Network theater way of naming movies, where they would have just called it the Batman Ninja Turtles movie.
It would have. So okay, so I love in this fight here. This is really great. They really thought out all the fighting styles and like how this works here so well because like every turtle has a different specific style. If you really pay attention, Batman, what he's doing, he's figuring out the fight because you remember Batman's playing hurt right now because he survived a near lethal strike that Shredder let him walk away from. Of course, we have Michelangelo here's being. I love the pizza parlor, by the way, because the pizza parlor is just this great intersect of both things here. We have it's just the symbol of the turtles within Gotham, where he's going to go in there and says, "Hey, there's a giant bat guy," and just everyone's just like they're used to the bat guy, but not the turtle. It's funny. No, like Michelangelo, he has a breakdancing style. If you really notice, and that's why Batman's like grabs him by the mouth and like throws him around. We have a Donatello. Donatello overthinks things, and that's why he's taken out rather easily. You have Leonardo, who's kind of the Bushido Code samurai. He announces his things before he attacks. He's the practical guy. And Raphael is jujitsu, which Batman's very versed in. So, of course, just Batman just basically he's figuring out their fighting styles as they're charging at him. Again, he knows he can't really fully just kind of like go guns blazing at him. That's why he's like using the tasers and everything and taking there. It's a really great. I just love how this is choreographed. It's beautifully choreographed. The whole movie with the fighting, honestly, is just really well choreographed. And Batman here is just taking them all out without, again, like not really embarrassing them, but he's thinking it out. I love all the gadgets. I love how the utility belt works, like how it animates really well in this movie. And one of my favorite gadget in the whole movie for Batman was the remote grappling hook that he put on one of their backs. Like sent them flying. I love that so much.
Yeah.
I mean, the world building
and Ninja Turtles both have a lot of gadgets, so it's another thing that really solidifies the crossover.
So that's the thing, T. I'm from the beginning, I was in love with this thing head to toe because I mean, just the style and everything. We're going for with like the blood. We're not shying away from everything. We have some really good voice talent. We're doing like the thing I've been aching to see personally. Like I want to see Troy Baker voice both Batman and the Joker in one movie. They got that from the get go. It's like yes,
right.
And I was already sold in this movie from the beginning. Then it basically just keeps getting better and better throughout. I mean, this is one of the moments I'm talking about here. So of course we have Baxter Stockman as the Fly. Which
Baxter Stockman, correct me if I'm wrong, he was not in the comic at all, right?
You know what? For life,
I mean, if he is, he's like kind of like a Batgirl situation where it's like very like kind of a minor role.
If he wasn't a Fly. I can vouch that much. Right?
Okay, gotcha.
The Fly is like something I think happened in the animated. At some point, it got turned.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was an animated series thing.
Again, there are many animated series. That's why I'm being a little vague about it. But of course, now this is where I geeked out here because this is something that I know it's very obvious. I saw this before I read the comics.
It's very obvious, but it works so well, Dragon. It works so well.
And Tiki, here's the thing that made me geek out. Okay, and basically after the first shot, every other shot of Ratio, they used the animated series model that I grew up with.
Oh, did they? Oh, okay, cool. I didn't.
I mean, it's not the animated series model. It's like 90% the animated.
Right. It's very much inspired by it. Yeah,
you can tell by the shadows under the eyes, like the ways the eyebrows and the shadow, like when he smiles, like that. That's the David Warner animated series Ratio Gold that I grew up in. Here's the thing: David Warner's not doing the voice. I would have lost my mind if David Warner did the voice. Okay, here's why. I have two missed opportunities in the whole movie. Honestly, I think the one missed opportunity for me is. If they had gotten David Warner to come back and do the Ra's al Ghul voice, you would have had like a cool intersect where he voiced Ra's al Ghul and he was in the second Ninja Turtles movie. He was the scientist in the Secret of the Ooze movie.
Oh God! Oh man!
And he was the fill-in for Baxter Stockman in that movie. I mean, that would have been my God! I would have been frothing at the mouth. But seriously though, again, going into this fresh before I looked at the source material. Because I love animated series Ra's al Ghul, but in general, Ra's al Ghul is a great character, and of course, it's a no-brainer that yes, he would work with Shredder. They both are the leaders of these ninja cults. Yes, he would.
Oh yeah, they're absolutely similar to each other for sure.
Yeah, like why wouldn't they work together? It gets like a could have had a V8 moment, but it's beautiful. Of course, with Baxter Stockman too, by the way, if you're going to make him a Fly, of course, they give him the Goldblum voice, which is perfect. Of course, I love to me, like the personal distinction between the Foot and the League of Assassins is the League of Assassins, they're vocal about their belief in race, where the Foot Clan, they're kind of
like very much kind of like they're almost kind of just like chess pieces almost, you know what I mean?
More operative, they're foot soldiers. Get it?
Yes, I know. I just didn't want to say foot soldiers. I want to use another terminology, but yes, they are foot soldiers.
So here we set up the main idea. Where again, I do love the plant. I do love the plot here, and again, I think I love the plot here a great deal than the whole get the portal to get back home, especially after it's been done so well with Spider-Verse in later years. Again, they didn't know at the time, so I'm not faulting them for it. But it's the fact that this seems like such a more Ra's al Ghul thing to do here, where again he's going to let basically Gotham is going to manifest what's killing it, where it's going to become monstrous and insane, where it's going to kill itself. And that's Ra's al Ghul to a T. Again, he's not going to hurt the natural world. He's going to turn them into a symbol of the natural world, technically, with all the animal mutations.
I mean, in a lot of ways, that's very similar to his Batman Begins plot.
I'm saying that's that. Again, remember, that's Ra's al Ghul's MO for everything, though. It's just.
I know. Yeah.
Of course, I do love the old abandoned internet cafe from the '90s that they're kind of bunking out in here, because it just feels like, again, this by happenstance. Like, yeah, it feels it's classic Ninja Turtles, of course, in their roots, but also it's like, yeah, we can say it would be closed down in Gotham. Gotham's all famous for their abandoned buildings, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So in the comic, they had a Venn diagram for this, but I think the Mikey's illustrations are a lot more fun. There's a little homage to the animated series with the horns on it later on. It's like the scary bat voice.
Dragon, did they do anything with Casey Jones in the comic?
Yeah, so Casey and April, they're portaled in to help. Casey, okay, so here's the thing. So Master Splinter was in the book, and they got rid of him. I'm kind of, I think it plays a little better when they got rid of Master Splinter. But then Casey and April O'Neil, they were portaled in to help out. So they did make an appearance in the story. They didn't really do anything major, but they were there.
I don't know. I really would have liked to see Casey Jones and Batman in her.
Here's the thing. If they do a sequel and Batman goes to New York, that's what I'm hoping. At the very least, again, they're going to make big changes. We'll get into it later. They're going to make big changes to, if they do a sequel, it's going to be vastly different from the book, I'd assume. And that the one thing I do hope they keep, though, is that, the second story takes place in the Ninja Turtles turf. So ideally, they would... So ideally, basically, they would do Casey Jones would be introduced there if I were betting. If it were up to me, I'd put Casey Jones in that one. And you had cover like
Jones is definitely one of my favorite Ninja Turtles characters. Yeah. And his, of course, his dichotomy with Batman being the vigilante. But Dragon Casey Jones is like the kid who wants to play superhero. You know what I mean?
I think he'd get along with Dick Grayson famously.
Oh yeah.
All right, so I love this here, and this is a sign of smart writing. This to me is like world's finest writing in terms of like the world's finest crossover I grew up with. In terms of like we have a character who's smart enough. We can forego all the exposition of like how is he going to deal with like mutated turtles and get all the backstory. Like, we're going to have a boring conversation about that, about their origins. Like, no, we don't have to do that because Batman's so smart. He can analyze the scythe they stole off of Raphael, and he can figure it out. I love it. That's smart writing. Yes, that's the crossover stuff I grew up with, man.
Sure.
Basically, this whole thing is kind of a nostalgia trip, but again, without really being like literally the nostalgia. Again, it's like paying reverence to as much reverence as it pays to the Ninja Turtle stuff. It's paying probably a little bit more to Batman because again, I think Batman's paying the bills a little bit more on this project. If I'm being honest, but it's cool though either way. It's so this is a really cool idea too. The Ninja Turtles kind of swimming through the Batcave through their defenses because the Batcave does have kind of an opening because the Batboat has to get out somehow. It's kind of cool how they kind of make their way into the Batcave.
Yeah. What do you think about it, though, Dragon? Do you think it's a little convenient because that's one of the few things I've heard people actually complain about with?
Look, I'd argue the Scott Snyder Joker story, and I'd argue Death of the Family, where again Joker, it's an impossible thing for any human to do, but again they're not human; they can get through it. That's what I'd argue.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, so okay, the Batcave looks really cool. By the way, we have all the landmarks here.
We got all the hallmarks of the Batcave and the fact that the turtles literally get to play around in it.
Of course, we have the giant penny, the dinosaur, the Joker playing card. I love that the Batcomputer has bat ears on it, which I believe was a Brave and the Bold pull. I want to say. So this too, I love. Here's the thing that was kind of mind blowing to me: all the suits we have in the cases, and we have like a suit that's never been rendered like in animation, even as an Easter egg. We had the bad Bob Kane suit, the red one, the one like the actual suit that Bob Kane designed first.
Oh dear!
And there's actually, if you look, there's a chronology on it. If you look really, there's the Thomas Wayne bat suit that inspired Batman on the very left. You have the crappy Bob Kane suit in the red. You then have the cool-looking Bob Kane suit right next to it. Then you have kind of the the 40s Batman. So they have like 1939 Bob Kane. You have the 40s Bob Kane, and then you have the basically I'd argue like the Super Friends looking bat suit. With the yellow oval, but has like the highlight.
Right, yeah.
I just love that
with the Batman on the with the bat suit on the T-Rex. That's classic.
So let's talk about Damian Wayne. So Damian Wayne is a character who can be polarizing if you don't write him right, and I think they wrote him just right here.
Absolutely. This honestly is probably my favorite. Keep in mind, I'm no expert on Damian Wayne by any means. This might be my favorite Damian Wayne anything. I mean, I think Damian Wayne is just so well utilized here.
We walked the line perfectly with him because what you see right here, this is Damian Wayne. He's like the toughest Robin of the bunch here. Again, he was raised by League of Assassins. He's Talia al Ghul's son. He's Ra's al Ghul's grandson. This is the kid who's like he's going to be. Again, he's a trained assassin who Batman has tried to wean off killing people. That's the idea. So he's the guard dog of the Batcave right now, and the way he just instantly takes out all the turtles here. That's he's giving them the business here. Like that's Damian Wayne with that cocksureness and everything. Oh, yeah. I love, but also we have some fun with him too. So that's the important delineation. We don't just sometimes Damian can be like, oh man, this kid's he's all broody. He's even worse than
right.
It's like he's just always he's really stuck up. The idea is like he's the stuck up kind of preppy kid, but he's always like preppy.
Honestly, for as much as I love the Snyder stuff, that's kind of like the vibe I get from Damian Wayne in those a little bit.
Well, Snyder doesn't even like him. That's the thing. Snyder,
exactly.
Man, that's the thing. Like, bear in mind, Damian, he's become better over the years. I'm saying when he was first introduced, he was a brat. Like no one, it was dicey. Not maybe not Jason Todd levels because again he had a pedigree with Ra's al Ghul. He thought he was better than everybody else. And
right? Yeah.
One thing that we did really good on him. Now I could be crazy. You're more knowledgeable than I am on Ninja Turtles. Bear in mind, even though we're not super fanboys of it. I mean you know a lot. I'm sorry, you know a lot more than I am. Point being,
like I said, my nostalgia mostly comes from the cartoon and some Super Nintendo and arcade games.
I can't remember if the Turtles have ever rescinded into their shells like that. And I thought that was kind of a cool animation.
Oh yeah, they definitely have.
Because I personally, I've never the one series I've really seen. I've never seen them do that. It's a cool little device because he's making fully little turtle angle. So again, a lot of the meet and greet stuff, and also just the dialogue in the Turtles, they feel like brothers. Like they have Donnie makes an excellent point, undercutting Raphael's just very simple kind of like summation of the thing. Again, these guys, it's like a whole inferred history you get, and it works. And this is basically again kind of the end of the meet cute here. We're okay. We fought earlier, but you know what, guys, we're on the same team. Let's stop them together. And we learned
like the classic superhero trope. That's probably what we're gonna see in Kong versus Godzilla.
Probably. And here we have, of course, this really horrifying Arkham break-in here with Ration the Shredder, just like laying waste to all these Arkham guards. It's a brutal. Again, I respect it so much. They went for it, man. They did not hold back. I mean, there's a lot of gruesome murders here, and again, blood too. I mean, it's like there's some beheadings. Again, not uberly graphic beheadings, but I mean, a guy loses his head. The guy we just saw was impaled. These are the little touches that really get me, Tiki. I love that we see the world's best dad mug because this guy's about to get killed and he has a son.
Yeah.
Those are the touches that really like throw me. Like, yeah, oh my god, they're really going for it. Of course, this race just appearing out of the shadows. It's terrifying.
Seeing all the people get murdered on the security cameras before it happens to you. That's some classic horror movie stuff.
Oh yeah. And of course, this is a good little kind of introduction to our villains who are going to come back later. Because ordinarily you can do one of two things with Arkham. You can either just have like cameos just going through the asylum, or what eventually happens, Arkham Breakout, and they all break out. Really good design on Mr. Freeze, by the way. Give him like the white goatee and everything. Sometimes they give him hair, but they give him like a mohawk, which I always like. Why would God give him a mohawk? Just give him like a goatee. It looks really nice on him. Osito, Bane's teddy bear from the Bane origin. He was in Bane's cell just now.
Oh, nice.
And I'll get to when we get to Bane's transformation. But more on that later. So yeah, like Shredder has no patience for the novelty of Gotham. And it's just like the finesse that it takes for Gotham. He's kind of a guy of action here. He's just very much again.
Basically, like every one of the villains has some sort of like weird over the top gimmick, and Shredder's just like, look, man, I'm themed after a cheese grater for God's sakes, but you know,
so here we have the Terror Strong
about it.
Here we have the Terror Strong Harley Quinn, by the way. So again, like Nicole Dubois, she sounds a little bit like this one, doesn't she?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I think Tara Strong keeps getting better every time she does the Harley, because the first Arkham game, I had no problems with it. I think some people criticize it for sounding, when she yells, she sounds a little too much like Timmy Turner. And I think over time she's gotten more comfortable and even better with it. So I think she's that. The more she does with Harley, I think the better. So of course, now Tiki, one of my all-time favorite stories with Ra's al Ghul is the demon laughs. Oh, by the way, Fred's hand from Batman Returns.
Oh my God!
Hi, wow. It's Fred's hand. Sorry. Okay, back to what I was saying. So one of my all-time favorite stories.
That's the thing with this movie; it does have some deep cuts, man. It really does.
So I love the Demon Laughs, and the Demon Laughs is a story where Ra's al Ghul breaks Joker out of Arkham. I know he doesn't break him out here, but the point is he has an arrangement with him. Every time Ra's al Ghul works with the Joker, he does it with great hesitation, but it's like usually for a really great endpoint. Like Under the Red Hood, the animated movie, he worked with the Joker, and the Joker killed Robin, which is something Ra's al Ghul never wanted. You do really good stuff, and basically it's like Joker's calling him Al, and basically it's the idea that he wants to work with the Joker because he has a plan, but the Joker is just they know he's going to betray him, but it's a really great story. So when I just saw that image in the trailer, like, oh my God, Ra's al Ghul's going to the Joker, I was losing my mind because I love that story so much.
Right. So of course we have to have pizza and Alfred and Michelangelo. What do you think of Alfred and Michelangelo's dynamic? I think it's great. I think it's one of the highlights of the film. I
do. So we also have Brian George providing the voice of Alfred. Brian George, he was Alfred in the Killing Joke animated film. He was good in that. I think never a bad Alfred. And also people
never a bad Alfred. Not a ton for Alfred to do in that story, but
he had a good line. Uh-huh. And here, though, so of course also Brian George is one of the things he's best known for is Seinfeld. He was Babu Bhatt in the Immigrant in Seinfeld.
Oh God.
All right, so I love him in the cafe episode, but that's a story for another time. Okay, I love it. We're kind of pairing everybody up, which is something you tend to do in crossovers with like a big cast here, where we have we kind of pair our purple people together and our red people together and our blue. Honestly, to an extent, we kind of color code them. I got to be honest, we kind of did that. Michelangelo's kind of on his own, but I mean Alfred covering pizza.
It's like Leo's randomly hanging out with Mr. Freeze.
Real quick, a lot of League of Assassins kind of call outs here. We have Ubu, we have Talia on the left there, Bronze Tiger below her. I mean, I know the image is already passed, but I think Nisa Al Ghul was the one with the arrow on the left. And we had the Sensei, not the Sensei, not Euro Sensei, but we had like the Sensei, the one from Gotham that trained Bruce Wayne. They call him the Shaman.
Yes.
I mean, they call him the Shaman, but in all seriousness, he's the Sensei. Let's be honest.
All right.
I like that we had some fun with Batgirl because if you don't, obviously we've seen some highs and lows of Batgirl in animation, and and in this case with Batgirl, the costume they're using, this is like I call it the New 52, but I mean I think technically it's the Rebirth version. The point being, this is like the more kind of friendly social, like a Batgirl who is on her phone doing social media, trying to do outreach to the community, like a more friendly Batgirl, a younger, friendlier Batgirl. Uh-huh. We gave her some levity here. She's like, ooze. I don't like saying ooze. I know it's kind of cute. I wanted to mention this with Batman's look too, by the way. So Tiki, famously in the animated series, there's an episode where they try to do a couple looks different. They try to attribute all the animation. They try to attribute a few looks of Batman in comics. They did a Frank Miller look. They did like a Dick Sprang look. And the apartment wanted to do Neil Adams. So you got to remember, Tiki, Neil Adams is like one of the hardest things to do in animation because he has like all those definitive lines on him in animation. They'll never track well. I got to tell you, I think they cracked the code on this is like the most Neil Adams looking Batman I've ever seen with this movie.
Yeah, again, I can't really speak to that because I don't really have history with any of the designs one way or another. But good, I'm glad that it fulfilled that need for you, Dragon.
So Sato Oshi Strike. This is actually a deep cut reference to Ninja Turtles. So Sato and Oshi were the founders of the Foot Clan. That's why they call it the Satoshi strike. There's a little kind of backstory. We kind of got a glimpse of the Shredder versus Splinter of it all there, and I do love I do love how Batman's
hold on, really quick. The old Master Alfred.
And again, he thinks it works like Master Splinter. That's why he's calling him Master.
Right.
God, it's so. I just love Alfred knows how to handle teenagers. Like he's grabbing by the mask, like
exactly.
confiscating the skateboard. I don't know if you noticed this. I love how Alfred again. I don't know if this is like a super deep cut, like the Michael Goff Alfred, like just kind of giving away the secret maybe a little too easily. But if you notice, monogram BW monogram napkins, Bruce Wayne. You know, it's
oh no!
I don't know. I
noticed that.
Well, remember they already know. They practically know he's Bruce Wayne. Everyone but Mikey knows he's Bruce Wayne already, so it's
right.
Fine. So yeah, I love how we're kind of threading the needle here on our story here. We're basically the lesson Batman needs to learn is to kind of like you treat the Bat family well. He needs to kind of like learn to trust this team. He needs to like kind of not compartmentalize as much. You know, it's basically going to be a little lighter. And make time for pizza. It's a very simple lesson. Make time for pizza, which Batman is.
Dragon, you always have to make time for pizza because it's pizza time.
That you do. But again, I do like it's a very simple arc, but again, it's an effective. Again, it's the job.
Yeah, that's kind of what I dig about this movie, man. This movie, it's like, for something that could have been really crazy with multiverse stuff, it really does have just kind of a very simple arc to it.
I will say one thing, just with the pairings of everybody here, because we have Batgirl and we have Batgirl and Donatello, we have Robin and Raphael. Now, Robin and Raphael are a good pairing, but I gotta be honest. Given the whole Splinter angle, the Turtles have a relationship with Master Splinter. I'm surprised we never really addressed the fact that Damian is the grandson of Ra's al Ghul, and that's why he's spying on the League of Assassins. I just feel like I don't know.
Yeah,
that we never referenced that at all, but.
I do like that with Raphael. He's the one who's kind of like the I don't want to say the most mature, but he's kind of like the most tough and streetwise turtle. Whereas Damian Wayne, and again with Damian Wayne, I don't want to say he's immature, but he's definitely the youngest and therefore obviously the most childlike. So I kind of like that Raphael kind of acts as like a role model to Damian Wayne, and that's kind of the part of the dynamic that I do like.
Yeah, that is good. Okay, real quick. Okay,
yeah.
I love this. I love this scene so much. It is from the book, but it's even better here. It's just. Oh god! So of course the rooftop scene. We've got to like kind of some version of this on Justice League.
Just think about your retirement.
I love this Gordon. It's like now they're again like teenage ninja turtles. Like they're all just like throwing so much at him right now. It's just good. Turtles don't talk. Clowns are funny. Retirement. Okay. But I just love this bit here where Batman is like, Jim, focus here. Arkham. It's just so much he's throwing at his poor buddy here. It's like Gordon just like I just love it so much. It's just again, T. This is all we need. We just need one rooftops and just one scene with Gordon, and
totally. And they absolutely like fits your ideology of the Gordon. Like you don't need a lot with Gordon, but what you do have you have to make sure it's in character.
Make sure it's in character, and ideally it counts. And of course, we do have the bonus here with and again, maybe a little Justice League guess, but with Ninja Turtles, though, Michelangelo's being so pleasant, just like I didn't leave.
I think that plays a little bit better than the Justice League equivalent does.
It does, but I also love the fact that Gordon's just like, leave me alone on the rooftop for the umpteenth time. Sure, that never gets old. just calling Batman out like, oh, guys, it's getting so old. So real quick, so there was one. I gotta be honest. Okay, there's one thing. It wouldn't have worked in this story, so I get it. The whole pairing Damian and Raphael. I mean, again, it works in this story. I think maybe the whole again, we only reference the fact that Batman's Damian's father once in the story too, and I feel that's a little bit of kind of a Shredder missed. It's a bit of a Splinter missed opportunity there because again, we don't need Splinter, but the whole father. Like, I'm sure your father would be proud. Like, that's a really good idea. Like, kind of saying your father would be proud of what you're doing here. But there's a huge storyline that was from the most memorable thing from the comic did not make it into the movie. It was Batman was kind of paired with Raphael for the most part. Raphael he took Raphael to Crime Alley to tell him what happened to his parents, and they had a really
Oh
emotional
yeah, I'm
connection.
glad you're bringing this up because that absolutely sounds like a moment that I kind of wish, like, outside of the ridiculousness of, like, it's fucking Batman showing Raphael the place of his family's murder. If you take the ridiculousness of that out of the equation, just like kind of how meta of a pop culture thing that is, it's a very poignant moment. It
It
sounds
had a
like.
really beautiful ending though. At the very end of the story, he gave him his mask as a memento, like for the Batcave.
Uh-huh.
The point is, yeah, but again, it wouldn't have really tracked with what they're doing here. They have a really short runtime. That would have been cool, but again, they would have had like a whole bit of Raphael that goes out on his own. The one thing we do lose from that though is the fact he would have been in the trench coat and everything, which would have been cool.
All right, so we got to talk about the Ooze villains, of course. I would say this might be one of the big selling points of the film. But also, Dragon, I feel like even though it is really cool and it leads to some cool action stuff, I feel like this stuff is probably the how do I put this without just making it seem like I'm nitpicking? I feel like it's the point in the movie where it feels like kind of like an episodic thing. Like, we get kind of away from the Raj stuff and we just kind of get like, now all the villains are crazy and Batman has to deal with them. You know what I mean? And then by Act 3, we get back into the Rash and Shredder stuff, and it's
If
all
we
good.
didn't have the ninjas, if we didn't have the Foot and the League of Assassins have been mutated into characters, I think that would have justified this more because it wouldn't. Basically, this would have set up what the stakes of Gotham are. This sets up the stakes like
Yeah, right. And I do get that that's what this scene is establishing. My whole thing, though, is that it feels like it just goes on. Like, it literally does feel like it's the length of a TV show episode. Like it feels, like I said, a little, I think episodic is the word I'm going to throw out
I mean,
there.
you're not wrong, but yeah, kind of a nitpick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anyway, so real quick, I mean, it already passed, but I just want to acknowledge that I love, by the way, that all the wardrobe on the villains was right from the animated series, and I geeked out about that. Even the Joker's outfit. I gotta be honest though, I don't know what it is. Pre-mutation, Joker's design a little off. It honestly, it's like it's not. I love Troy Baker's performance on. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying I think like he had when he was like calling the whole nurse doctor gag, which I think is priceless by the way for Joker and Harley. The whole thing like nurse. Of course, like Doctor, of course, famously Dr. Harleen Quinzel. She can't answer the nurse.
Of course, yeah.
I love it. If you notice, his arms look really weird in that scene. Like, it's like really short-looking arms in that suit. But again, it's a really great take on the animated series suit. Though again, the face and the arms look a little weird pre-mutation. I think after he's mutated, it looks great. So again, all of our villains are kind of like going to have kind of an animal theme to the mutation. So Harley is kind of like a cartoony wolf, which I think fits.
Yeah, I like it.
Here's the thing, Mr. Freeze, they could have gone one of two ways, in my opinion. I like the way they went. The polar bear makes perfect sense, and it's a big call to one of the famous things in Mr. Freeze with Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero opens with
Sub-Zero, yeah, man, I've got some nostalgia for that.
Sub-Zero has the polar bear thing, and of course, I mean, that's the thing. I didn't dawn on because when I saw him like the fur like breaking through the helmet, my instant thought was like Yeti, which again could have worked too. But polar bear though is perfect. I gotta be honest. And with the red eyes, that's kicker. He's Mr. Freeze went. Even going back to Heart of Ice, he walks through a room. He has the red eyes. It looks great.
Sure.
Of course, that the hallways here that Donatello and Batgirl are kind of walking through. It looks very kind of Arkham game-esque. Like the dilapidated, more dilapidated Arkham looks very much like the Arkham games. Or if you want to be all deep cuts, I mean, like the Arkham Asylum, a serious house, and a serious Earth. Anyway, here's the thing. Bane kind of had a radical change. Here's the thing that baffles me. We even see Osito the bear. Bane famously has a connection to bears, yet he's not a big old grizzly bear. I don't get that.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a missed opportunity.
That's in the comic he was an elephant. So, I mean, the cheetah. I get. I mean, the point of it. The elephant was a really cool design too, by the way.
I think elephant makes more sense than cheetah.
I mean, I like the speed of the cheetah, though. That's kind of cool. He has like speed added with the strength and everything. I mean, that's kind of
right. But what I'm saying is that characteristically, when I think Bane, I don't necessarily think speed, so I just don't think it fits with the character all that well.
I mean, it plays, but not as well as it could.
Bane is like kind of more brute force than speed.
And I agree with you, but again, if you're going for like some of the Bane's always like intimidating. How do you make him more intimidating? You make him quick as the day.
Sure, sure.
What are we gonna do? Make him more strong?
Right.
Or Scarecrow?
You know what would have been a good match for him?
What?
A gorilla.
Oh yeah.
Right.
That's a good one. But again, like gorilla would have worked. But again, I think bear's the go-to. If I had to pick, it'd be bear. But again, I think
say this, but with gorilla, there might be like me. I don't even want to say it. Fucking racial sensitivity.
I was thinking more like Flash, but like a Gorilla Grodd, maybe been a little too Grodd-esque. But
yeah.
Okay, this is really cool. Now, again, from what I can recall, because it's been a while since I've read, but the animated series, again, the other crossover that I have read between the animated series version and the Nickelodeon, the CG versions, Scarecrow did factor into that one quite a deal, and we kind of have that here with. I want to say they pulled a little bit of that here with Donatello's visions. I mean, this is a really cool idea. Very much like Batman, his greatest fear is losing his family. But of course, more than a brotherly sense, and just kind of like the putting together your family again. So it's a really, again, basically it's the burden of leadership that's really striking Leonardo here. It's a really, really good sequence with that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like the breakdown of all the actions. We kind of paired them up, and they're kind of going up against kind of a different mutated foe. Man, it's pretty cool. No pun intended. I mean, I don't know. Polar bear with the freeze gun just looks really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And compliments with the goatee as well. Again, I think that good design. A lot of good design work on this movie. Joker being I gotta be honest, Joker's kind of the exemption in his regular form. Great costume.
Joker is fucking weird both ways, honestly.
The second way looks
I'm
a lot.
not a big fan of Snake Joker either.
I'll say this though, Tiki, he looks a lot better than he does in the book. It's a great improvement from what he looked like in the book. The great book, he looked too like.
Well, I have no frame of reference for that, so I'll take your word on it.
I'm just gonna say he was just like a green snake, and it looked all scaly, just kind of lazy looking. It was like, it's.
Also, really, we get to see Joker as a giant snake, but we don't get to see live action Jafar as a giant snake. Really?
Okay, I'm gonna get really Batman. I mentioned something you love, Tiki. Okay, Batman and Robin. One of my favorite gadgets in Batman and Robin, one of the big redeeming moments for me in Batman and Robin. I love the bat heaters, and we use them here.
I mean, to be fair, I love Batman and Robin is a bad movie, all right? I just want to point that out.
I was hoping you would. So that's the thing. So I love the bat heaters in that movie in terms of gadgetry, and that's the big takeaway I have that's one of the big takeaways I have in the movie, aside from like the moments we had of good Mr. Freeze and all the great Alfred stuff in Batman and Robin, but I do love it. I love we brought back. This to me was like a nostalgic blast and best. Oh my god, bat heaters, awesome, and they're used on Mr. Freeze, cool. This is like a cool way of like taking like that, the chemical bath thing from Batman the Animated Series and kind of making it into like a handy gadget you can use if you get thawed and if you get frozen on the. Okay, this is a fan thing for me. It's like one of my bucket list things I've always wanted to see done in Batman. It's just happened now.
Okay.
I've always wanted to see Bane, like have a moment where Bane's about to break somebody's back, usually Batman. Like, let's say if Batman ever had to go up against Bane again, let's say we see like the uber prepared Batman. He had like a steel reinforced spine under the costume, and he breaks Bane's freaking kneecap. I've always wanted to see that. And it's like the closest I've seen to it ever. And I was like, oh my God, he's gonna break the turtle, and it's not gonna work. He practically breaks his kneecap. I love it. It's a big bucket list thing.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Really quick, I got to acknowledge, I love, like you were saying earlier, like Batman kind of like coaching Leonardo out of the fear toxin. It's very in character, of course, Leonardo being the leader of the Turtles, Batman being the leader overall. I love that these two are getting a moment of kind of like conquering their fears together.
Yeah. I mean, in a sense, they're kind of these two characters that are trying to honor their fathers.
Uh-huh.
Very dutiful samurai versus just kind of like a guy kind of operates like a samurai to an extent.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
You guys love the novelty of Scarecrow. That's a perfect one right there. Of course, we have a really funny one coming up. I'm sure one that's going to terrify you more than the sphere gas.
What, the poison ivy thing?
Yeah.
Man, honestly, with the carnivorous plant thing, it kind of depends more on the design than anything else.
Because I was thinking about it when I was watching. It's like, oh man, I think he's gonna have a field day with this one.
Yeah, it didn't really get to me, I got to admit.
Well, I do like how we, I do love how clever this bit is. Poison Ivy, traditionally she's a big plant lady, so I like that we're kind of subverting. Like Poison Ivy's always going for like the giant plant monsters and stuff. There's really not that much of a difference for her. Only now she's a little bit more monstrous looking than kind of like the seductress. But now she's I love that the drawback to being a plant lady.
I figured it out, Dragon. I think the big difference here is that the giant carnivorous plants are her arms. So like it's like a big mutation, right?
Yeah.
Really what freaks me out about giant carnivorous plants just on their own, like even just regular Venus flytraps, is the fact that it's just a regular household plant, but with like sentience to be a killer.
Yep.
That whole concept freaks me the fuck out. Anyways,
this love it is outlitter here. It's like you stick to the wall and leave. It's great. Okay, so this big circular room here is very akin to like an Arkham game design here. Like there's like a few circular rooms
big
in there.
time, yeah.
So okay, now this is great. And this to me, I love to think this is a Death of the Family reference. Because remember, Death of the Family ends with the first issue ends with like that. The whole first issue is predicated on like that two-headed cat, the Chimera cat, like a lion cub born wrong. And I'm going to guess that if it's not a Death of the Family reference, it might just be a reference. So I guess it with lions that can happen from time to time. They have like a conjoined kind of lion cub. I guess it's like maybe an actual thing that happens. It could be. I mean, I know Snyder does his research. He wouldn't just pull that out of left field. I mean, I know he looked in that one. So anyway. So again, I really like Joker's design versus the book here. I mean, here's the thing. Initially, I was thinking Hyena. When I was thinking like, who the heck did Joker turn to with that big old smile? I'm thinking Hyena, right?
Would be perfect. Yeah.
And Joker and Harley in the series, and the
that's the thing, Jordan. I don't get Snake. I really don't like. I mean, it's like I don't know. Like, Snake.
I mean, here's the thing. Snake clicked with me with Venom. He said, "Oh yeah, Snake, the new Joker Venom. I get it." But let's see how again. You're thinking Hyena, but it poses the question: how snake-like can Joker be?
Yeah, and again, it just kind of I know it's totally obviously it's not the movie's fault, but I'm just thinking like, God, like thanks for reminding me that Jafar wasn't a snake in the live-action Aladdin movie.
We gotta be honest, I didn't need to see Snake Joker trying to kiss like dog Harley. I didn't need to see that. But yeah, at least if they didn't make fun of that, I would have like it was okay. That was just weird. But I gotta tell you though, this whole little hostage kind of fake out here, which is a classic Joker move. Of course, you do something like that. I love how this is a big moment that again proves Batman's point here. This is like the versus and ideology to an extent here. Where again, this is where Batman starts to again. It's not that he distrusts the Turtles; it's that they blew their one shot with Batman. Where again, like they kind of like Batman gave an order, he warned them not to do this, and they charged in they went gun ho into a situation like they tend to do and work with it. And Batman just being the strategist, like just kind of being the pragmatist, like no, well again it's a one strike, one deal type thing here. I'm not going to work with them again. So again, it's that, but also the fact that their blunder led to him getting mutated. So that's a big sticking point with him. So again, he's just like from a logical standpoint, I can't work with these guys again, or else something bad's going to happen to me.
Batman does come around to that very quickly, though, so it's not necessarily a versus of ideologies. It's more of like a quick discussion of ideologies.
I mean, look, you're right. It's less the ideologies, but more so the fact that again, that's why Batman's more like again looking where he goes with the arc, like in terms of like loosening up and kind of letting people. And that's where he's like, okay, he works with people, but again, he's very strict. It's my way or the highway, and these guys are kind of violating the highway. So. All right, so this, of course, the mixing of the Joker Venom and the mutagen here. Oh, yeah, it's an unholy cocktail here, folks. Really good reflection shot too, of Batman in the vial. Yeah, this is would have been more creepy if you bit him. I gotta be honest.
Right. Oh, that would have been creepy.
I don't know if they could have gotten away with that. I gotta be honest. I think that might have been like there's sometimes it's like a vampirism thing, but then again, PG-13 these days you can get away with a lot. Oh, by the way, real quick, I just want to mention this too while Two-Face is still on screen before he gets thrown through a window. In the comic, he was much like out of left field. He was a monkey for some reason.
Two-Faces?
That's the thing. I mean, the Chimera is such a better upgrade, don't you think?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot better than just monkey.
I have a nitpick here with what he's about to do to Mr. Freeze. It's a cool, basically we're seeing again the idea that Batman is not in control of his faculties at all here. Like I've seen them do this on Brave and the Bold. He was once transformed into a bat monster, like a man bat, if you will. Novel concept.
Yeah, exactly? What a novel concept. Yeah,
and that's the thing. He was transformed in that, but it was more like he was in control of his faculties. It's more like a novelty. Oh, the Silver Age is what it was. But here he's out of control, and we're seeing what Gotham will be turned into here. But my nitpick with Mr. Freeze here is that he throws in that. It's a terrifying sequence, but it really bothers me that we don't hear from Mr. Freeze because it's. I mean, I know they're not going for this, but it sounds like he kills Mr. Freeze, and that bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we hear like an or something at the end of that. I don't know. Remember, it's just like, it's supposed to be scary. I get that. Like, there's the only father of the thing there when he says, like, "Father, it's me." Again, the nitpicks and a few missed opportunities, but nothing really offensive at all.
Sure.
But yeah, of course, as I mentioned, Ian, they kind of nixed, nixed kind of your Man Bat and everything because obviously, again, he wasn't in the Man Bat wasn't in the story, but I'm sure they kind of nixed that because they don't want like too many just already mutated characters. We're going to mutate other characters, you feel less special. It's like, oh yeah, and there's these other two monsters that Batman contends with on a regular basis.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like the film kind of runs a risk of having too many mutated characters as it is.
Exactly. I mean, they kind of
kept a smart decision.
Kept it simple.
Yeah.
Of course, it's kind of a big sequence here, really trying to get the end. Again, more of that silhouette work looks really good. By the way, just in terms of Joker's whole plan here, in terms of what why he helped Ra's al Ghul and why he helped Ra's and the Shredder. I love that Joker's rationale. It's very authentic to who the Joker is. Joker is basically he fears boredom and being in a rut. That's why he wanted to spice things up with mutating everybody, including himself, and just like kind of changing up Gotham with what their greater plan is. He just wants to. Yeah, he doesn't want. He's done the dance with Batman for a long time. He just wants to spice things up. Now we're mutants. He's just going for it. That's Joker. Again, like that Venom line there. I mean, again, I can buy the Snake thing because of the Venom observation. I've seen a few things where sometimes the Joker Venom has been delivered through a snake-like device once or twice. So it's like, yeah, okay, I can buy it. But Hyena would be the go-to. Man, Peter must have had a field day with this because it's like kicking them. I mean, again, there are humans that are mutated, though. So that's the thing. I mean, like Robin's just like kicking Harley in the face there, like a lot. Michelangelo coming in for the save here. This is really. It's a real simple bit. So he tosses it to the other hand. It's a good move.
Yeah, and again, I feel like this whole sequence of like, oh no, all the villains are ooze infected now. My whole thing is like, I don't have a ton to say about it because it's novel in theory, but it goes on for a little too long, and it doesn't really have all that much to do with the rage stuff. It's outside of what, like you said, like kind of being like a warning, like, yeah, this is what's going to happen. This is what rage is kind of getting at.
I mean, it is really scary to see Batman out of control like that, But you're right, yeah. Of course, this bit here, but it's always given the history of Batgirl and the Joker. It's always kind of nice to see. I mean, it's about that here where she gets her last licks in here. Of course, Joker just instantly leaves Harley, just tosses her off, and he tries to slither away as the Joker tends to do. And of course, just Batgirl's just knocks all of his teeth out. Yep, of course, just again, we can't get into.
That's the PETA thing that I was kind of wondering about, Trigon. Just all of the snake's teeth being just knocked clean out.
Yeah, well, snakes have
then taking a selfie with it. Can you imagine if some idiot like somehow knocked all of a snake's teeth out and took a selfie with it? Like, that would cause such an uproar on social media.
Well, I think snakes have that regenerative thing. I mean, I know it's more of like.
Oh, do they? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I don't know if the teeth work along with. I know the rest of the body can they can regenerate that, or at least they can reattach and they can regenerate certain parts of them. So I don't know if it's how easy it is. The point being, I know they it takes a lot to kill a snake. But point being, though, I think I would optimistically maybe the teeth come back. The point is, I think it's more like two ordinarily with a snake versus like the Joker's many teeth.
Uh-huh.
But still, Batgirl gets like of all the characters, she gets the kind of kick him in the face there. And of course, like that rebirth Batgirl is taking like being all selfies and everything with it, just like yeah, justice. Okay, so this to me I love. Oh, that Ra's al Ghul is a man of his word, but by the same token, Ra's al Ghul hates criminality. So I love that his reward, the reward here, is that the Penguin gets to live. That's the big reward that he did
Right.
promise him. But again, it's a really great reveal that oh my god, like they killed all of his men, his life, his rewards. Again, that's Ra's al Ghul version of justice right there. I like that. I mean, of course, like he would probably sometimes you could always argue like he'd probably hire somebody to do something because would fit the greater mission. But still, like for the most part, especially a guy like the Penguin was like this big corpulent kind of representation of corruption in Gotham. Of course, he would screw him over.
Uh-huh.
Well, by the way, the whole hostage employee the whole henchman hostage thing with Baxter Stockman, I think is a hilarious runner too. Just like mark that down in the hostage category, no paycheck.
Right, right. Okay, it's kind of like a side of Baxter Stockman that we've not usually seen because Baxter Stockman is usually like either like a mad scientist out for his own agenda, or he's like kind of pre Baxter Stockman, like working for a lab or working for the government or whatever. But this Baxter Stockman, the whole idea of him being kidnapped, it's like, he can still be the silly fly monster, but he's got, maybe an air of sympathy to him, like a little bit of like, he doesn't necessarily want to be in this mess. This isn't his fight.
True. And I also, by the way, he is voiced by Keith Ferguson. Keith Ferguson,
That
he
blew
did
my mind when I found that out.
not Craig Ferguson, the other one, Keith Ferguson.
Right, I know.
Of course, I mean, yeah, you know him for, of course, Glomgold, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Glomgold. He's also a really great impressionist. He does a really great Han Solo impression when they do all the.
I had no idea he was such a good.
Yeah, he's an excellent impressionist.
That's what I'm saying. Like
absolutely
the goal. Uh,
So here we're confronting the moral of the piece. Here, this is a nice bit here, where
right.
it's coming from the loner of the Teenage Mutant Ninja
Yeah, like I
Turtles.
said, it's more of just kind of like an after school special, like fireside chat.
Yeah,
I do
yeah.
like that Damian Wayne is the one that turns Batman around on him.
Well, I mean, he's going for it. But Raphael's ultimately the one who really does it. There, he's sticking up for him. And that's kind of like putting
You're right. You're right. Yeah.
giving it a shot there. But then Raphael's about to come up here again. Like the ultimate loner is like, I'm going it alone. You chuckleheads, I'm leaving you. I'm going to handle it all by myself. He's going the Batman route of things. Of course, if anyone's going to again.
I like how Raphael, the ultimate loner, is like the one who's saying like, no, he ain't right. I do like that, Dragon.
While we don't do the Crime Alley stuff, we at least do something like this. We give Raphael the big moment to reach Batman, which feels befitting.
Sure.
I mean, I love that basically what Raphael's saying here is, look, I mean, yes, again, Batman's trying to be the president. Said, look, they botched it once. I can't take that risk. I don't want to endanger anybody's lives. I'm doing it alone. Where he's saying, look, even if the plan doesn't go accordingly, you can't just lock them out. You got to let them in. I think because it's family, and of course Batman's having that great realization. It's kind of like an abridged version of the Lego movie too, the Lego Batman movie to an extent.
It is like that. You're right.
To an extent, it's a little different, a little bit more abridged, but it's
yeah.
Batman, of course, he accepts that he has a bad family, but he's kind of need to be reminded. He's kind of get gut checked by Raphael here. Yeah, you have a bad family, man. The way we have like a literal family.
Oh God.
It's a team. Ain't that the same thing? Like, yeah, you got him, Raph. You got him by the bat pathos, man. Of course, we're about to have the debut of a really cool looking vehicle. Two of the most iconic animated vehicles.
Yeah, two of the most iconic animated vehicles.
Oh yeah.
This is a big fanboy thing, I think, seeing these two vehicles side by side with each other.
There's my beauty right there. Oh God, look at her.
Oh God.
Sorry, and I love that they made some alterations because right now the comics even these days, Tiki, they're really drawn. Basically, the animated series Batman has come back in vogue in a big way. I'm digging it because right now all the comics right now they're stylistically borrowing a lot from the animated series car. Basically, it's the same car. They just like give it a bat head on front. The main difference. That's kind of a cool thing the animated series car didn't even have. And it's coming back. And now we have the Shell Razor, I believe it's called.
Uh-huh.
So the way this big third act showdown with basically starting with the Ace Chemical thing went down. This is Ubu, by the way. This is Ra's al Ghul's right hand man, the guy who's kind of leading the charge here, the silent guy. Anyway, all right. So Ace Chemical here. So the idea is they looked at the layout of Ace Chemical, basically kind of the wide shot of like how Ace Chemical looks from a distance, and they looked at that and they kind of planned that. Okay, if they have these two vehicles and of course two motorcycles added to that, making their way into the place, how would they get to the Ace Chemical building? They kind of delineated. Okay, so we're going to break them up like this. We have all these shipping containers that's going to like split them up and do stuff like that. So it's a really clever way in which they kind of figure out who does what in this sequence. A lot of cool action bits in between as well, with like, the exploding arrows and such. It's like using it as a ramming vehicle. I gotta tell you, I never really thought. Again, I never really thought of like using these shipping containers in Ace Chemical. And I gotta tell you, it really plays. It plays well. It's a really good obstacle to have, and it makes sense. You have to ship in chemicals, but you never really see like at Ace Chemical.
Right.
Oh yes, I love this. The very few things I do know about Ninja Turtles. One thing I do love though of the vehicle, I love the manhole launcher. I love it. Again, I love that they have like the pizza decal on it. It's even better. Oh God! So it's toyetic in the best of ways. It's awesome.
One of my favorite elements of this final scene is the setup and payoff that we get with Mikey and the buttons.
Yes. I love it's a little small detail. I love Raphael's like old school biker helmet, with the point and everything. It looks good. This is kind of cool. I'm just kind of noticing this in the moment here. Yeah, it's the Foot and the League, like specifically. I thought they was kind of split up, like certain, like the Foot were like on certain detail, but no, like they're working together. It's like teamwork between the Foot and the League of Assassins, like tandem. It's really cool. Yeah. So here we have the mutants. So our mutants are coming into play here. Of course, I mean, what's worse than the League of Assassins and the Foot Clan? Mutated League of Assassins and the Foot Clan. They're giant freaking wolves and lions and bears. Oh my!
Like I feel like the mutants. I don't know. It's a little too much. I feel like this movie loses a little bit of steam in the third act outside of the Batman versus Shredder stuff, which I love. I don't know, Dragon. It's not that the mutants are bad, but it's like we literally just spent a full like 20 minutes fighting mutants, and now we're gonna fight more mutants. It's the one thing in this crossover that I feel like gets maybe just a little bit lazy is that they kind of like over rely on the mutant thing a little bit.
This is kind of what Bane would have looked like too. This elephant that's kind of ramming him.
I do like that. Wait, is that? Oh yeah, that is an elephant. I thought it was a rhino. That's a great design, actually.
That's pretty much what it would look like. Maybe with a sanded off tusk at the end there, but pretty much that. We put a mask on him, and that's pretty much what Bane looked like in the comedy.
I like how fast it's able to run.
Yeah, look at the elephant hands too. That's weird.
Yeah.
Like a really sweet move with Batgirl here, like just kind of sliding under all three trucks and skirting out the last minute. Really great action bits on the vehicles here. Again, like it's kind of funny. This director must have loved Cannonball Run or something because we just have these vehicle sequences. Brave and the Bold did it with Scooby-Doo, and that's because that's a staple of Brave and the Bold. You have these great vehicle chases, but here I think we did a lot even better action with it. I got to be honest.
With the mutations, I wish there was a little bit more rhyme and reason to why they specifically turn into animals.
Well, honestly,
I guess it's just because that's how it worked in the show. Like, we got the Turtles, and then we got Bebop and Rocksteady. I don't know. It's like I guess I'm kind of just. It's not really a complaint about the movie itself. It's more a complaint about the show's internal logic. But I don't know. Maybe I guess at the very least, like we said, I wish that the animal transformations would have been a little bit more in character for some of these transformations. And frankly, I just think that the Foot Clan in this movie unto themselves is cooler than any sort of like animal mutant thing that we're gonna get.
I mean, honestly, I think they kind of wrote themselves into a slight corner with it. Again, I'm fine with it, but on the same token, it's this thing where they have the mutagen, then they would obviously use the mutagen if they had it at their disposal, which they do. So they would have to use it if it's an advantage. It's kind of why we have all the excess means. But again, if we did this segment that already won, that did in itself have again, it was kind of an aside, but by the same token, it's like kind of a more effective use of like, okay, we're setting up the stakes here. The villains turning into mutants and Batman turning into a mutant. Where again, that's the danger that we're in. Where this is just like, okay, we need muscle. That's pretty much what we're using the mutants for here. So again, they both serve an end, but maybe one after the other kind of reads a little like. Okay.
Can I just say this Michelangelo button pushing bit is exactly how I feel every time I go on Mission Space. And also, it's the reason why I am looking more forward to being the engineer on Smuggler's Run than the pilot.
Right. The thing I love about it too, I love that Batman's coming around. I love that he's just kind of slowly but surely, he's really coming around. One of the teamwork as a whole, but more so, he's he's encouraging Michelangelo. He's saying, "Good job." It's nice.
Yeah.
Of course, here, Batman knows how to. Oh, sorry, I'm jumping a little ahead of here. I was about to say, Batman and company know how to make an entrance. They do. So the Shredder. By the way, because in case we glossed over again, Shredder very simply wants to use the Lazarus Pit so he can live forever and keep on shredding.
Keep on shredding, boy. Oh yeah.
Keep on shredding. Keep on shredding. I love in the dynamic that if you really look at it, I mean, Ra's al Ghul is far more competent than the Shredder, and the Shredder knows this and he's just peeved by it. If you really think about it, the Shredder, I mean, he brought the manpower by the same token. He brought the mutagen. That's the main thing the Shredder did, because every time, like, I love that Ra's al Ghul keeps again, like, he hasn't really suffered many setbacks. Only the Shredder has, because that's kind of the Shredder's lot in life with the show. Like, Shredder constantly suffers setbacks in the Ninja Turtle show. Or Ra's al Ghul, I mean, don't get me wrong, of course he's ultimately defeated, but by the same token, it's like, Ra's al Ghul, though, he gets results, though. By the way, there's a little payoff earlier on. If you notice, one of the Robins, Tim Drake, his signature weapon, like the thing that made him stick out as a Robin, is that he used the bow staff. And in this, what we did is Donatello. Donatello loves bow staffs, and we had this bit where after he used it in the earlier scene, Robin, he kind of adopted the bow staff in the fight. That's why he has like the yellow collapsible one. So it's kind of a little nod to Donatello, like a thank you to Donatello. This motorcycle move that Batgirl just used, like to take out a few of the foot soldiers, there's this running gag in the comics, at the very least in Batgirl Year One, where she goes through motorcycles like crazy. Like Batman keeps getting her motorcycles, and just keeps wrecking them. No values, no respect. Here we have, so now we begin the epic rematch here between Batman and the Shredder.
Which, honestly, this whole scene alone is worth the price of admission. I mean, this is almost like a great short film unto itself.
This I'm geeking out about this too here. Of course, like the last time I saw a sword fight this awesome. I mean, I know I've seen other swords fights. Batman, Ra's al Ghul. I mean, the last one, like Ra's al Ghul, he removes the shirt. He has the sword. He's fighting one-handed. I haven't seen that since the animated series.
And
it's like seeing that again. He's going up against two opponents. Two very, very well-trained Ninja Turtles, one hand behind his back, and he's kicking their butts. I love it. And of course, it's Damian Wayne here. Again, Damian always has to go up against the biggest, baddest dude, and now he's stuck with the Fly. Like, Batgirl's got Ubu. She's got, like, the right-hand man. He's got nothing. He's got nothing. So I love that basically in the factoring of, again, they did factor some things into like, the last matchups here. So with Raish, it's kind of the quote, Batman versus Two-Face. It's sort of the arrogance of youth.
The arrogance of youth.
Real quick, really, oh God, I know it sounds so simple, folks, but it's just the fact that, again, like to see like such a like, kind of a more kind of like, kind of happy-go-lucky '90s like, like classic cartoon icon like a Ninja Turtle have its arm broken like that by Ra's al Ghul. I mean, like, wow, we went there. It's like seeing like an arm break like that. I never would have expected that going into this. Like, oh my God, we're gonna break Ninja Turtle. You broke a Ninja Turtle's arm, man.
Right.
I never would have expected that. Now they're going there. Anyways, but yeah, so with the basically the factoring of the fights here. So yeah, Ra's al Ghul, he's going up against, again, we basically call back the fact that it's teenage Ninja Turtles. Again, emphasis on the teenage, and that's kind of like Ra's al Ghul being like a 600-year-old man versus these 16-year-old kids, 16-year-old turtles. And it's the fact that ultimately what's his undoing is, of course, like kind of like the arrogance of youth is essentially his undoing. It distracts him long enough for, again, we'll get to that when we get to it. I'm jumping ahead. But this Donatello, and I like pairing Donatello and Mikey up together because, again, they're so polar opposite, yet we have kind of the straight man, we have the comedian to an extent here. I love that Donatello is in a helpless situation right now, but he's kind of providing guidance to Mikey. It's all in Michelangelo's hands in the very literal sense. It's in his hands to stop this thing, to save the day. And just kind of making things worse before he makes it better. And that's kind of the lesson that Batman needs to learn. Things are going to get worse before they get better when you work with Ninja Turtles,
Yep.
So here's the arrogance of youth bit right here, where again, so Leonardo, when he's using what Batman taught him, he's trying to figure out his opponent. He kind of digs deep and he learns in this scene. Okay, I'm going to use my youth to my advantage here against my opponent. He's very well trained. I can't outclass this guy. I'm going to do something unexpected and then use a trick that only I know because of my father, the rat. So again, like two things he will have no way of accounting for, which again, something a little akin to a shredder move. And again, like a hit below the belt. I admit though, swordsmanship wise, he's doing really good there. But again, this says it all. Ra's al Ghul can just break the sword.
Right.
Of course. Oh God, that hit, man. I'm sorry. Oh, a little detail I completely forgot about to mention here. I love that we did pull a Batman Begins here. He has the gauntlets from Batman Begins. That's a really cool addition to the Ra's al Ghul look. We gave him like the bat gauntlets that Begins. That's kind of cool. So here we go. Here's like again. Ra's al Ghul is kind of monologuing here as he tends to do, but in a great way. But then of course, distracted for a moment as he distracted them with Arkham. This I learned from a rat and does like the multi kind of like point move here, and Ra's he's a goner.
No, he's down for the count, but he's not actually dead, right?
No, he's not. Yeah, he's down for the count.
I feel like they could have made that a little bit more clear.
But honestly, it's Ra's al Ghul. He'll always come back.
I know.
It's like we don't see him get rescued at the end. I'm assuming like
that's what I'm saying, Dragon. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying like when he goes down, isn't that literally the last time we see him in the movie?
It is. It is.
Me slightly.
I mean, here's the thing. You're right. It's the last time we see him. What bothered me more is the fact that we don't like drag him out of the place when it's exploding.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, it bothers me. It bothers me not as much as the Mr. Freeze thing. Mr. Freeze looks like he got murdered. Okay, but this thing is more of a sense of like, I mean, it's Ra's al Ghul. Like classically, one of the League of Assassins is there, and they take him out. That's usually what happens. Like one of them drag his body out until they put him in a pit, and he's fine.
No, I mean, I hear you, but I'm saying like for a crossover like this, like I know enough about Ra's al Ghul to kind of assume that, but. Let's say someone is is more of a surface level Batman fan than I am, and I'm a pretty surface level Batman fan myself. I just don't think that they're just going to be able to infer that, Dragon.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, basically what they're hoping for is that when everybody else is getting saved, assumedly so, he was saved as well. But I mean, I get that it's kind of a half and half. It's kind of there, but
it's really a nitpick at the end of the day. It's not even worth spending this much time talking about it. So
of course, it's already passed, but I did love the Cowabunga thing. So Batman saying Cowabunga is again kind of what
Shredder just getting totally thrown off by that.
And again, I love what it's kind of a strategy move because, of course, this is kind of a pre-planned thing where, again, it's halfway planned. Where again, I want to make it clear they didn't plan like specifically. I'm going to swing on a rope and I'm going to knock out the Shredder. It's the idea that Batman, when he needs help, when he needs assistance in the moment where he defers to somebody else, he will say "cowabunga." That's the idea. That he doesn't have the whole thing figured out. The idea is like he'll call for the reliance on somebody else. He's going to use cowabunga. In terms of like using cowabunga of all phrases, I love that it takes the Shredder aback because it's the phrase that confounds him so often. He's going up against this really respectable opponent who then just says cowabunga. Right. Like literally the phrase that's his undoing every time. But wait a minute, rockets explode!
Oh man.
Anyway, real quick though, with the Cloud Seeder too, I meant to mention this earlier. The Cloud Seeder, because remember, Ninja Turtles and Amazing Spider-Man kind of have the same ending with the whole like they're going to mutate everybody using like the Cloud device. The Ganali device in Amazing Spider-Man and Ninja, the 2014 Ninja Turtles was going to be the whole like they're going to do something similar to that. Point being, I think again using the Cloud Seeder in this and the whole like we're going to make it kind of make it rain the chemical ooze. I think that's a little reference to 2014, but done better. Where's Batman? Only Batman punching a man on the way down because he's Batman.
God.
I gotta tell you, I kind of personally expected Shredder to be a little bit more gnarly looking, but it's. I'll take. I'm assuming it's accurate. I don't know. Of course, now I'm speculating.
I literally had the exact same reaction when I watched the live action movie as a kid, and they have that big moment where he pulls off the face plate, and I'm just like, oh, he's literally just a guy.
No older than my son.
Right.
No. Okay, so real quick, with Shredder's defeat just now, he fell into kind of a vat of chemicals. And we did set up, by the way, the fact that we name dropped the fact that Joker was dropped into a vat of chemicals at Ace Chemicals. So a little fun fact there. But I love that I like to think that it's a reference to the Ninja Turtle live action movies where the Shredder is taken out unceremoniously, where it's like we had his big awesome fight with Batman, sure, but in the last moment it's like he's just standing there amongst the rest of them, and then like he's taken out by this non-ceremonious thing, and it's just like he's just kind of flying there. Okay, well that's dealt with. It just kind of feels like a little nods, like we kind of got rid of. We tripped the Shredder in the first one, and then like a bridge fell on him in the second.
Right. Yeah. Those Ninja Turtles movies, they like always built up like the big epic fight with Shredder and the Turtles, but it always is just like, and basically Shredder always gets Boba Fett at Dragon. That's what happens.
Of course, but basically this is the big coda of goodbyes here, and I really do like it. I think it's like the perfect way to end the thing too. We're just kind of check in with everybody, but specifically the Batman moment, I think was really the perfect note to end on. But with Batgirl here, I like that her handle is Oracle, which I'm assuming that's the case in the comics, but it might the Oracle being a reference to her in the wheelchair, obviously. Point being, like with the whole like social media active Batgirl, I like to think that's kind of cool. But basically, everyone, Damien gets kind of proverbially patted on the head for by Raphael. You and I were similar, like you, kid. And this this really touches me. I got to be honest. This whole bit with Alfred here, Alfred just like he plays along. It's just what I've always wanted. Like that's beautiful. That's Alfred, man.
Yeah.
Alfred, this kid's been giving him trouble, but he made a genuine attempt, for forgiveness from Alfred, and Alfred appreciated it. It's more than you would get from Damien, I'm sure. I mean, even Damien, that's the thing. Damien's redeeming quality. Even Damien liked Alfred. Everybody likes Alfred.
Oh yeah.
And this to me, so the pizza time thing, Tiki. This is going to sound really, really silly. I'm going to get really.
As soon as I saw that pizza time literally ends the film, I'm just like, oh, how great is that with the Spider-Man 2 pizza time stuff?
Okay, but seriously, Tiki, I'm gonna get old school in here. As a kid, when I would like speculate like team ups, like Batman teaming up with somebody, I'd expect like just any team up. It doesn't have to be Batman. I always imagine I like the docile moments. I like these moments of like levity where like maybe they grab lunch somewhere, that sort of thing.
Well, it's a classic. Like one of the big things that people remember about the Avengers is, you know what I mean? It's like it's that classic team up mentality of like, they have to fight the big bad guy, but we also want to see these characters just being people.
I know, and that's the thing. So that to me, just like ending on that note, really meant something to me because it's like I've always that's like the childhood kind of mindset of me. I've always wanted to see those characters kind of like some downtime with each other, and we give Batman pizza time of all things. It's like I love that we don't have it too early in the movie. We say as the last bit in the movie, like the most light Batman's going to get, and it's like everybody needs to. You know, it's like he's giving pizza to his son. Of course, he's gonna be like a little lighter. I mean, what's wrong with that? You know, it's like it's a perfect note to end the movie out on. Where again, he's kind of accepting families, kind of palling around with the Ninja Turtles. And it's like the silliest Batman gets without compromising the character. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, these comic covers throughout the credits, these are really cool. Like all these, you know, classic DC either DC and or Ninja Turtle comics, you know, with kind of the crossover kind of worked into them, retroactive, look really cool.
And now, Dragon, is this these aren't real comic books, right?
I mean, they're all based on real comic books. Just the whole Ninja Turtle of it all. Like that, like they've added.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like there's the first appearance of Robin. That's just
right. Okay, I see it now. I see it.
And there's Batman Year One. You know,
it took me you pointing that out to notice that they are famous comics. Yeah, that's nice.
I mean, the very first one that popped up was Batman #1, where he's swinging with Robin, only swinging with Leonardo. Of course, here's Detective 27 right there.
Yeah, that's a good touch. That's good. Oh God, I love freaking Donatello in the Batman suit.
Mm-hmm. Of course, they do us, and then now we're here seeing some Ninja Turtle comics. Basically, we have like a black, the old Raphael Nightwing.
Oh man, I got to admit, is like a fan of this art style. I'm kind of geeking out over this a little bit.
And there's a Neil Adams Batman just passed right now. Neil Adams Batman with Donatello just.
Sure. Oh God, there's the Justice League.
Yep, there's the big Starro thing right there. Of course, this is Batman the Cult. It's a really gritty story, by the way. The one on the left there with the manhole cover, and there is a manhole cover in that story, so it's kind of appropriate.
Sure.
And then there's, I believe, the first. I want to say it's the first issue of Ninja Turtles on the left. There's the very last comic on the left. All right, so of course we have our post-credit scene here, which sets up again potentially where they're going with the second one. If they, it sounds like they really want to do a second one. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be success. I would hope this is going to be successful because I really got a kick out of it. Of course, a little homage to Batman '89 with like the hand reaching up out of Ace Chemical.
Okay, I got to be honest with you, Dragon. Of course, this has got to be a reference to Super Shredder, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'd imagine it too.
That's the Joker thing. Like, I wish it would have been more on the nose. Like, we're doing Super Shredder and we're doing it right. Like, the Joker thing just kind of is like, all right, fucking Joker. Joker's in everything Batman. So,
I mean, honestly,
to me, that kind of takes away from the Shredder of it all. The fact that he's just like going to be another Joker style villain. It's almost a little boring. You know what I mean? I would have been more interested in it if it would have just been like regular Super Shredder.
I see your point. I do. It's just look at. Again, it's more speculation for if they do a second one. Because, again, I remember, like, second one, like, Bane's supposed to be the bad guy in the second one. So, obviously, they're going in a very different direction. So,
second one, there's a lot of things I want to see. I want to see Krang. I want to see, of course, I want to see Casey Jones more than a lot of things. I think they could really do some fun stuff with Casey Jones.
And honestly, the one thing I have to speculate on just with the whole Joker Shredder thing is that I imagine it just be the Shredder. Imagine we're going to see the second. We're going to be in New York on the Ninja Turtles turf, and the Shredder will be out of his mind. It's to be a crazy Shredder because he's now Jokerized, and they'll just kind of play with like a Shredder like you've never seen before, like completely off his rocker.
I mean, look, I'm sure like that's probably where we're gonna go, but I don't know. It's just, what's the point of making it look so much like the Joker? Like, he can laugh, he can act like the Joker, I guess, but just the fact that it's like the white face and the like everything looks like the Joker. It's just a little boring to me.
Well, I guess we'll see. I mean, if they want to play like the long game, maybe we'll give like the Joker Shredder like a third one, but then they'll do like Krang in the second one. I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right. Well, final thoughts.
All right, final thoughts for me. This again, it's another successful Batman crossover. Again, outside of the DC original animated movies that they've been doing in the in-continuity launches. Again, these Cape Crusader onwards, they've been really great. This is again, I think it's perfect for I think it's kind of perfect for everyone. It's perfect for like the people with little knowledge, the casual knowledge, the diehards of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle franchise. I think it's a cool story. It's a cool story. It's a solid adaptation. Again, they only really changed two details. I think again, it's the best example of an adaptation where we change things that help the story instead of just changing things for the sake of changing things.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone can enjoy this. I mean, again, I watched this before I looked at the source material. I wasn't like having a checklist in hand. I was like, oh my god, I'm just falling in love with this. It's just a blast. I think it also in regards to the Batman side of things, proves Batman. It proves Batman as the adaptable, enduring character. He's always been. 80 years later, he still has a surprise or two in store. I mean, crossing over the Ninja Turtles in animation, that's pretty cool. I loved it.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite as high on it as you are. I mean, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I'm just not like really like jumping up and down about it. It was a lot of fun. I think in terms of crossover potential, they did a lot with it. In terms of like I said, I think the best stroke in the whole movie was just simplifying the reason that the turtles are in Gotham to begin with. I felt like that definitely shaved out a lot of a lot of needless confusion. So in general, it's it doesn't quite not feel like a straight to video movie. I wish it. I don't know. That's kind of a like I wish these films felt a little bit more theatrical than they do, but it was still a good time. Very, very, very good crossover, cool action, good Batman versus Shredder stuff, good personality with the turtles, good interplay.
Let me
Like
ask you
that a lot.
this:
Yeah, go ahead.
better than the Scooby Doo crossover, or maybe not?
I mean, honestly, I'd say they're probably about on the same playing field.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that. Yeah, it's kind of two different genres almost. That's the thing.
Right, right. And honestly, there's not a ton I remember about the. Like honestly, I have a feeling I'm gonna remember more about this than I am the Scooby Doo one.
Hmm.
So I would say maybe slightly better than the Scooby Doo one, in my opinion.
Yeah. Again, fingers crossed if they ever do like the Wonder Woman crossover, that'd be amazing. If the Linda Carter Wonder Woman crossover, that'd be great.
Sure, sure.
I'm sorry, you were anything
No,
else?
no, no. That's it. That's it. That's all I got.
Again, so folks, it's been a blast, and I guess parting word, cowabunga.
Cowabunga! It's pizza time.
It's pizza time.